There are tons of secrets found in Oblivion, and that hasn't changed for the remaster. All of your favorite little Easter eggs and hidden things are still in the game, and I wanted to show you guys a bunch, plus some new stuff. Obviously that means that there are spoilers ahead, so just be warned. I did make a 101 Secrets and Facts OG Oblivion video a long time ago, so if you've seen that, a lot of this stuff is probably here as well, but it'll be cool to compare them. We have a lot more Oblivion and Elder Scrolls content on the channel, and if you're wanting more, then you're in the right place and should consider subscribing. Enjoy. The Mages Guild hates Necromancers, so much so that if you wear a Necromancer's robes, they'll refuse to talk to you. It's some pretty backwards thinking right here. The mages from the College of Winterhold would never. Well, 200 years later at least. The Imperial City sewers actually stretch all across the island, which makes it a pretty safe way for vampires to move around during the day. There's not a whole lot going on down there, though it is basically a part creepy dungeon, part gross underground highway. The Mythic Dawn has undercover agents scattered all over the place, just blending in like regular NPCs. They'll chat and share rumors, which is totally normal, but once you hit a certain point in the main quest,
die, Imperial, die!
Stay away!
Yeah, any random inn or shop can suddenly just turn into a surprise bloodbath. After the quest is done though, they just lose their purpose and go back to pretending like nothing ever happened. Dolphish Grow Orum is an orc barbarian who also happens to be running a skooma dealing operation out of Cheydinhal. He's got a little crew backing him up, including Magoob, who's probably his brother, plus Bazur Grogarj, and Borba, who runs Borba's goods and stores. Oh, and of course Ogash Gramagul, who handles transporting the skooma and collecting cash from the local Kimona Tong. There are drug runners and even secret drop points in the Imperial City. Riverview is a fancy house in Cheydinhal. Sometimes it's even called Riverside in a few lines of dialogue, but whatever you call it, it's owned by a guy named Voronil, and it's the spot for some of the most exclusive parties in all of Siridil. It's just too bad you'll never get an invite. Every Lordos, there's a big party from 6 PM to midnight, with dinner served at 8. Some guests don't even show up till 10, but everyone's technically invited to the meal. So people just kind of roll in as the night goes on. Seems crazy that the champion of Siridil can't even get an invite. What the hell did we do? There are a few folks in Siridil sneaking behind their partners' backs. The most famous pair is Hassathil, who's married to Heinrich Oakenhull.
I'm Hassathil, Heinrich Oakenhull's wife.
And Enel Roth, who's Varel Morvane's apprentice. You'll find them meeting up every afternoon behind the stables in Anvil. Not exactly subtle. If you swim along the river that starts near the mouth of the Panther by Breville, you'll stumble across a dead troll just floating there. It has a note on it and a bottle of Surreal Vintage $3.99 with it. The note says, "Me worst troll ever. Nobody pay the bridge toll. Me not scary enough. Me get drunk and kill self. Troll drown." I don't know whether to laugh or to cry. Poor guy. Bin Gleam is a secret little treasure hidden out in the ocean near Anvil. It's an enchanted helmet that looks just like a regular glass helmet, but it's a little weaker in terms of defense. What it does have going for it though are some unusual enchantments that you can get early on. It lets you detect life within 20 feet, it gives you night eye, and it lets you breathe underwater. It's sitting underwater off the west side of a small island west of Anvil, right next to a big rock and some human bones. I'll show you exactly on the map, but use night vision or a similar potion to make it easier to find because it is kinda hard to spot. The exterior of Skinrad Castle is basically a copy of Bran Castle in Romania, which a lot of people know as Dracula's Castle, which makes sense if you know about the Count. There's a corpse in the Kavach Oblivion Gate just lying in the lava. It's missing a hand and both legs. It really reminds me of something, but I can't place it. Down in the basement of the Imperial Palace, there's this hourglass, a chair, and a cabbage too. All of them ridiculously massive. Speaking about massive though, there is a giant Nerroot that you can find right here. The music for it even plays louder. Estelle, the woman who runs the bookstore in Coral, actually had a dog in the early builds of the game. You can see it in the making of documentary, but in the final version, no dog, and that includes the remaster. Instead, there's a dogskin rug in her bedroom. Naturally, if you put 2 and 2 together, well, you know. Especially since in the documentary, you can literally see her throwing fireballs at the thing. This woman is sick. back to things being
massive, dude.
Just head on out to the Greenmead Cave right here. Inside, you'll find the true antagonist of Oblivion, the Daedric Prince of Butter. It's just a giant mud crab. The blue suede shoes, I'll give you a second to kind of come to the conclusion on this one. Yeah, it's just a reference to the Elvis song, Blue Suede Shoes.
Okay then, you've shown me something.
JD Sam is a merchant you can find just outside the Imperial City walls, near the Chestnut Handy stables. He's there 24/7, standing by a bush, waiting for someone to make a deal. He sells all the stuff your average thief or assassin might need. Lockpicks, poisons, potions, and even skooma. In fact, he's only one of 2 vendors in Siridil who sell skooma. When you find him, he'll say this.
Psst. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Come here. I got what you need.
And then when you leave,
come see me anytime, friend. I'm here day or night.
Classic. He's a handy guy to know if you're into more questionable activities in Siridil. If you head over to Fort Nickel, go west a ways till you hit the pond and you'll come across what's left of a guy named Nath Dyer. And I say what's left because calling it a full corpse might be stretching it. He's pretty much just bits and pieces at this point. Alongside him, you'll find a love letter signed Unknown, written to someone in the city he was apparently pining for from afar. You don't know me, but I see you every day. Every day my heart skips a beat as you walk by. I'm writing to you in hopes that you'll let me court you. When you next venture to town, I'll be the one holding a primrose. This could also be interpreted as something stalkery as well, but who knows what the hell happened to this guy. These days, day and night cycles in open world games are pretty much standard. But back when Oblivion dropped, it was the new hotness. When you're in Anvil, swing by the docks around midnight. If you're lucky, you might catch a few NPCs going at it bare knuckle brawl in an underground fight club. You can't join in though. Well, I mean, you kinda can, but you know, it's not the same. Did I just break the #1 rule by putting this in the video? Down in the basement of Lazar Milvin's house in Skinrad, he's hiding a Chuck E. Cheese. You'll find yet again another giant thing in Oblivion, and this time it's a rat. Well, it used to be in the original game. When I found it, I couldn't tell if it was any larger than the normal rats anymore. But if it has changed, then I guess that's something new for the remaster. Though not a good one. I don't even know if I'd consider this a secret or not at this point. But yes, there is in fact a unicorn in Oblivion. You'll find it during Hircine's quest, and you can even ride this bad boy. Veon Cave is a massive, partly flooded cave, and it's actually one of the more unique caves in the entire game. What's cool about it is the whole subculture of Argonians living in the cave. They even have interactions with each other.
Hi there. Imps. I hate 'em. Little buggers flitting around, tossing fireballs at you. Alright.
They're not friendly, unfortunately, but they aren't cursed or crazy. They're just existing down here minding their own business till you show up. They even have their own chieftain at the end of the cave. Type CoC Testing Hall in the commands and you get transported to this weird space in the game. This place contains everything, by which I mean literally everything in Siridil. A library of every book in the game, an armory with every weapon and bit of gear, every single creature, and grounds to test lockpicking, AI, and lighting. Almost every Bethesda game has these weird testing areas, and they're always interesting to check out. There's an abandoned house in Skinrad called Narls House, and inside are a bunch of undead creatures. There's never any real explanation for why there are undead wandering around inside the house, and there's actually no NPC named Narls anywhere in the game. Nobody in Skinrad ever brings up the house or its mysterious missing owner either, except for that Argonian during the Lost Histories quest. And even then, he just points out the book you need behind the place. So it's pretty much assumed that nobody knows there's a mini horror show going on inside. From the outside, the house looks totally normal. There's nothing creepy about it. Though the dead, burned, and toppled tree in the backyard is kind of a red flag. Even though it's abandoned, going inside still counts as trespassing for some weird reason. Also, the undead enemies inside respawn every 24 hours. So it's not the best idea to try and use it as your personal hideout or home. Behind the discount spell store in the Imperial City Market District, there's a hollow tree trunk that'll serve as a safe storage spot. It's perfect if you can't get a house yet and you have some stuff to stash. You can reverse pickpocket in this game, so do what you will with that information. Maybe some poison apples? There's an in-game skill book called Advances in Lockpicking. which says that if you hold a torch while lockpicking, it makes it easier to lockpick. I tried it, and I did feel like it was maybe slightly easier, but maybe it's just a placebo effect going on. I don't know. Try it out. The Blades captain who dies during the tutorial is named Captain Renald, which is a reference to the character in Casablanca. Blackrock Cavern has a secret. At the end of the cave, you'll find a secret chasm, and here we have a landlocked pirate ship. It's pretty insane to see this for the first time, and it even has some ghost pirates on it. There's another testing cell in the game called the Todd Test Area. The cool part about this testing area is that Todd Howard actually did some voice lines for one of the NPCs in the area, and they kept it in the remaster, which was pretty amazing.
What? That really pisses me off. Oh no, what do we do? I'm so scared. Fabulous, that's great, good for you. What next, friend? I'm sorry, I didn't know. When? I didn't know that. How can this be?
Lockhaven is another one of those weird little places you can go to. You can only reach it through the console command. Once you're in the testing hall, there's a door that drops you straight into the hidden town. It's a small village with a handful of buildings, 7 in total, but only 2 are actually enterable. And there's even a roaming guard who will arrest you if you cause trouble here. The residents of Hawkhaven are weird. You've got Dewey Decimal, yes really, he's in full Blades armor, and a few others like Elidor and Caldwin who don't have much to say beyond the rumors button. But the real star here is Denier. He's the town's only merchant, and his setup is just a stone wall outside of the testing hall door. He offers every single merchant service in the game, enchanting, repairing, you name it. And he's got more gold than any other vendor in Oblivion, over 65,000. There are also a couple clearly labeled debug NPCs designed to test combat behavior. One runs away when hurt, and the other fights to the death. Inside the 2 buildings, you'll find the Trespass Test Warehouse, where you can see how NPCs react to theft. And then you have the Crime Warehouse that has a mini gel with a working evidence chest. Just outside of the town, there's an altar that creates black soul gems, plus a road leading to the Creature Grove. This place feels like its own little Oblivion realm. It's pretty cool. Going back to good old God Howard, did you know he actually voices Clavicus Vile in the game?
A mortal! Wonderful. Always a pleasure. Perhaps you'll do service for me, mortal, and I'll reward you. A fair bargain, don't you think? You will retrieve for me a sword, a very special sword. It contains the soul of Umbra, a hero I have had dealings with in the past.
Maybe that's why they were testing his lines in that room. Apparently, before the original game came out, every city in the game was going to have an arena just like the Imperial City. There's even a destroyed arena in the Kavach ruins, which kind of backs this up. There's human skin just laying on a shelf in the Leowin Mages Guild. These guys can't handle some dudes with black robes and skulls, but they'll leave things like this lying around. Vin Diesel is actually named after Vin Diesel, because the movie The Pacifier was made in Bethesda, Maryland, where Bethesda Softworks was originally located. Speaking of Vin Diesel, there are tons of characters in Oblivion named after or look like real-life people. In the Dark Brotherhood, Antoinette Marie is actually a play on the name Marie Antoinette, who was a French queen, and there are dozens more. There are 100 Oblivion gates, or at least locations where they can open, but no more than 60 separate gates will appear during a single game, including 10 gates which will always open in designated spots. Patrick Stewart plays Uriel Septim, but it's not that fact that I wanted to talk about. It's the fact that Bethesda gave him a 90-page booklet explaining the Emperor's background and history in preparation for that part. Bethesda was worried they had given him too much, but he was actually thrilled, saying it was the best character prep he's ever been given, and then the dude's character dies in the tutorial. Tragic. In the remaster, you can actually see the tallest mountain in Skyrim called the Throat of the World or High Hrothgar. I've seen some people online claiming that it was in the original, but just as a smaller mountain. I went to the exact same spot where the new mountain is and nothing is there. But maybe it was placed in a different area. Anyways, it is cool to see Skyrim referenced regardless. NPC voices have been redone for certain characters like Halanu Halalu.
By the way, do you happen to know what the fine is here in Siridil for necrophilia? Just asking.
and Aldous Othrin, who also has a new rendition of the Cliff Racer song.
Flying, flying in the sky, Cliff Racer flies so high, flying.
This was a great change in my opinion because the original needed that variety. At the arena or just around the Imperial City, you'll run into these promotional posters for the arena. This image is actually a direct reference to the first Elder Scrolls title called Arena. It's just a cool little callback. In the original game, there were multiple NPCs that had voice acting mistakes. It's iconic at this point, and Bethesda apparently understood the assignment because those same mistakes are still in the game.
I heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night. Wait a minute, let me do that one again. I heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night.
There's a book in the game called the Macabre Manifest, and you'll find it during the quest Unfriendly Competition. It lists a bunch of graves that have loot, but the interesting one is Ulford Gabbings. If you're good at anagrams, you might already see it. Rearrange the letters and it's a reference to Froto Baggins. The supposed items in his grave are a travel cloak with a leaf, a gold ring with an inscription, and a feather travel journal. Of course, these items are all similar to things that Frodo had on him in The Lord of the Rings. A lot of people wonder what's happening to the other provinces during the Oblivion Crisis. Well, they're all facing the same problem, Oblivion Gates and Daedra alike. A badass lore fact though is that the Argonians actually repelled the Black Marsh invasion, and then they counter-invaded Oblivion, forcing the Daedra to close the gates themselves. Argonians are so underrated, man. All of the 9 divines, or the gods in the Elder Scrolls universe, are actually named after the developers and beta testers involved with the Elder Scrolls Arena and the Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall. Akatosh was named after the beta tester Lawrence Zadowski, who liked to sign his name as also known as the Old Smog himself, Akatosh. Arkay was named after one of the original beta testers, Arkay Dutch. Debella was named after Mary Jo Debella. Julianos was named after Julian LaFay, project leader of Daggerfall. Kinnereth, as far as we know, is not named after anyone, but they were already present in Arena. Mara was named after the beta tester Marilyn Wasserman. Stendar was named after the beta tester Daniel Starr, and Zenithar was named after Steven Zen Zet, who was also an Arena beta tester. Talos, like Kinnereth, was named later on in the series, and it comes from an old Greek name and a character. Has this statue ever looked familiar to you? That's because you might have seen one in real life that looks exactly like this. The statue is actually a reference to Michelangelo's work, the Pieta. You can spawn in an NPC named Boromir, which is another reference to the Lord of the Rings, and what I also find cool is that Sean Bean, who plays Boromir, also voice acts for Martin in the game. Over in the Imperial City waterfront, there's a little boat turned in run by a guy named Ormil. If you grab a bed and get some sleep there, it'll actually start a quest. Once everything wraps up, Ormil reveals he made up a whole story about a treasure called the Golden Gallion, which is actually a nod to the English writer Saki, whose real name is H.H. Munro. He wrote a story called A Holiday Task where the main character stays at an inn with the same name. Staying at the waterfront, you might hear a dark elf pirate named Malvolus singing a little sea shanty about Cyrus.
There once was a hardy young lad of the sea, a red god of courage and honor was he.
Hi there.
Sail on, my Cyrus, sail on.
But who is Cyrus, you might be wondering? He's actually the main character of the Elder Scrolls game, Redguard. He was also a pirate. In the Arena District, you'll find a statue of this guy. This is actually Morehouse, sometimes called Morehouse Breath of Kine, the Winged Bull, or just Mor, who is a legendary figure in Imperial lore. He's either a demigod or a demi-prince, depending on who you ask, and he's been described in all sorts of ways: a winged bull, a half-man, half-bull, or even just a regular-looking Nord. He's a big deal to the Imperials because of his role in the Lessian Rebellion. According to legend, he was the one who took the Citadel, helping humans gain control of the Nibene Valley. There's even a famous tapestry by Khajiit artist Cherim that shows him leading rebel forces against the Aelids at the White Gold Tower. He's tied to the power of the Thu'um, which connects him to Kinnereth. Some even say he's literally her child. Oh, and during the rebellion, he was also Alessia's lover. Together, they had a son named Beharza the Man-Bull. So basically, you had an Emperor Minotaur demigod, which sounds amazing. But the reason his statue is a man and not a minotaur is because the decision to depict him as a bull was conceptualized during the Knights of the Nine, and Kurt Coleman and Michael Kirkbride joked that the statue would need to be retconned. Unfortunately, they didn't change it for the remaster, but they should have. It would have been the perfect time. Fame and Infamine might just seem like numbers in Oblivion's stats menu, but they actually have a pretty big impact on how the game treats your character. Behind the scenes, the game is always keeping tabs on both. They influence how NPCs react to you, whether you can start certain quest lines or buy homes in places like Coral and Skinrad, and even if you can tap into the power of the Heaven Stones. Getting fame is pretty simple. Just complete main or side quests and you'll rack it up fast. Infamy, on the other hand, comes from doing shady stuff, making questionable choices during quests, rising through the Dark Brotherhood or Thieves Guild, or just building up bounties. If your infamy is higher than your fame, you won't be able to use the altars of the Nine Divines in city chapels. But it's not that big of a deal, as you can always just earn more fame or go on the Knights of the Nine pilgrimage to wipe your infamy clean. After finishing the Thieves Guild questline, you get a special item that lets you take on a secret identity. Any infamy you gain while wearing it won't affect your real self. Just take it off and you're in the clear. The system was pretty cool for its time, but modern games have kind of taken this similar system and expanded on it. There are still a bunch of secrets and cool facts to be found in Oblivion, more specifically in the Shivering Isles. So if you want us to cover that, then like the video and leave a comment. Also, we have a lot more Elder Scrolls and Fallout content on the way, so if you enjoy that stuff, then make sure you're subbed. Remember guys, enjoyed time is never wasted time, and I'll see you in the next.